Hi folks, I'm Matt, and it's way overdue for a board game review. Alright, so in part one of my video, I showed you kind of all the basics for the game. There's a few things I didn't go over that I'm going to cover here in part two for Firefly the game. If you haven't seen part one, please go and watch part one first. Alright, so a few of the things I wanted to go over here for part two. One, I told you I would talk about Disgruntled Tokens, right? And what it means for your captain. There's three ways to get these Disgruntled Tokens. If you're moral and they're doing an immoral job, like we showed earlier, then after that they get a Disgruntled Token. Or sometimes when you're flying around space, it will say, hey, to proceed, you have to disgruntle all your crew members. And so that would be another way you could get a disgruntled. The final way would be for actually the crew, not the captain. But if the captain refused to pay your crew, because you have to pay your crew, you have to give them their cut of whatever the amount is. And their cut is, let me see if I can find a character here. There you go. Their cut is whatever their cost was. So you would actually pay him $100 for that job. They're anywhere between $100 to $300 basically. So the more crew members, the more money you have to pay out. If you don't want to pay them though, you can give them a Disgruntled Token instead. That'll make them unhappy. Now, why are Disgruntled Tokens bad things? You're like, okay, so what? He's sad. Boo-hoo. Well, here's what's bad. Anyone who is disgruntled, if another Firefly ship lands on your square, then what they're going to do is they can actually buy any of your disgruntled crew members. They can't buy your captain, but they can buy any of your disgruntled crew members from you, and you can't do anything about it. So that would be one reason why you wouldn't want them disgruntled. The other reason would be if a crew member, I know this is a captain, but if a crew member got 2 Disgruntled Tokens, then they quit. They leave your crew and they go back to their respective deck, wherever they brought them. You go back into the discard deck there. However, if your captain gets 2 Disgruntleds, ooh, that is really bad because he's going to fire your entire crew. Whoever you have, he's going to fire them, send them back to their little respective discard piles, and that's what's going to make him unhappy again. So you don't want to get 2 disgruntles at the same time. It's never a good thing. So you're saying, okay, Matt, well, how do I clear a Disgruntled Token from my captain and or crew? Well, the first way would be through one of these nav cards. And one of these nav cards, they may say, hey, if you pay $400 or whatever, you can undisgruntle all your crew. Or it may say for free, undisgruntle all your crew. Whatever the case, that's one way to do it. The other way, the surefire way, would be if you're on any planet, let's say I'm on Greenleaf, you can give them what's called shore leave. And shore leave means you have to pay $100 per crew member. And that counts as one turn there. One of your actions is to disgruntle all of them. Giving them shore leave counts as an action. And you would remove their Disgruntled Tokens. Now, you don't give just the ones with Disgruntled Tokens shore leave. You have to give the entire crew, whoever's on your crew, shore leave. So if I have, one person or 2 people disgruntled and the other 2 people aren't, I still have to pay $400 to get rid of everyone and get rid of the Disgruntled Tokens and make everyone happy. Okay? But that's how shore leave works. It sucks, but hey, you have to do it sometimes if you get disgruntled. I hate getting my crew disgruntled. Some people love it. Some people don't pay their crew, have them quit and go back and hire them again. Why would they go back to work for you? I have no idea why, but rules are rules, and they say you can do that. All right, anyway, another thing I wanted to talk about for this part 2 here is aim to misbehave cards. Remember in this Badger one we looked at in part 1, you had to aim to misbehave. So anyway, I'd have to go to that certain planet, which this would be Ariel, and misbehave 3 times in a row. This counts as one action. If you get to 2 of them, but you fail on the 3rd one, you have to start all over again and do 1, 2, 3. You can't say, okay, well, I got 2 already on my last turn. I need 1 this turn. Doesn't work that way. You have to get all 3 in a row. If you don't, you have to start all over again. These aim to misbehave cards can signify anything. A lot of times they'll give you options. Like for instance, well, that's not a good one. Let's see. All right, here we go. Here's one. I have 3 ways to get through this one. I can roll for this. Now, if I have a fancy duds, I can go ahead and proceed. But let's say I don't. All right, my negotiation skills have to be a +6 or above. Remember those negotiation skills? They'll be found on the crew cards. Let's say I have 1 here, and let's say someone else has 2 more here. So I have a +3 in this one. Okay, let me see. What do I have to roll? 6? Okay, I have to roll a 3 or better to get that one. That may not be a bad one to roll for, but I have a second option. look at this. If I roll a 6 or better and tech skills, you know, if I have a medic, I can go ahead and proceed. Otherwise, I can roll for tech skills. If I have a 6 or better, I can do that. Well, I know my captain doesn't have any tech skills, but let's say I have 2 other people who have 2 and 2, and that would be 4 tech skills. Well, that means I only have to roll a 2 or plus there. I'm going to choose that one over this one. Got me? And see if I can roll. If not, the attempt's botched. That means you lose out this turn. You have to try again on your next turn. Of course, in our house rules, you can try it as many times as you want, as many times as you have actions left over. That's a house rule, though. Of course, there's a third option. It says if I have Simon Tam, which if I had him in my crew, I could go ahead and proceed. So this one gives me 3 ways to solve it. A lot of them don't give you that third option, as you can see there. It's a particular crew member you need to pass. Some of them are like this. I can either try to roll or just disgruntle all my crew and attempt botch. Why would I do that one? Well, if my fight skills aren't that much and you know, I have to kill a crew if I don't roll a 7, I'd probably take that one. So these can sometimes be hard. The more you have on here that you have to do in a row, the harder the job. For instance, Niska can have 4 or 5 of them, and so can Patience. She can have up to 4 of them. The jobs get harder the closer you get to Niska. So Patience would be the second hardest, then Badger, Amandul, and of course Harkin is the easiest. But anyway, Aim to Misbehave cards are really fun and can be very, very aggravating if you don't make it in there. But all right, the last thing I wanted to talk about in part 2 here is the card. As you see, I've said, hey, look, I got some upgrades here. Let's say I went shopping, got some various upgrades, and let's say that I wanted to replace one of my upgrades with this because I want extra cargo. Oh no, but I'm all full of my slots. What can I do? I can't get it now. No, you can still get it. You just have to remove one of the others and basically just jettison it, you know, and put it back to its respective decks. This is Regina, so I'll put it in the discard pile there. And now I have a space to put this in. You can do that at any time. So if you don't be afraid to buy 2 things and say, oh wait, I need to make sure and look at everything before I fill in that 3rd slot. No, it's not permanent. You find something else you want to replace it with, and just jettison that into its respective deck. And then that gives you an extra slot you can use for upgrades. You can do the same thing with your core drive here. So if I upgrade it to a 6, bump that out, put that in the core drive. Where does this one go? Well, this is one of the generic ones at the starter, so I just throw this one in the starter deck with all the captains there. But then I could have a new drive core. There you go. So now I'm moving a little bit faster. Some of them have you move slower, but you know you don't have to use fuel tokens to get through it. So that's a drive core. And we'll talk more about those later on. That's other things you can do would be if, let's say you had extra cargo, but you didn't have enough space, and you're like, oh man, I need more spaces. You can always jettison fuel and parts as long as you don't think you'll need them. You can always jettison them and just, you know, put them back into the return pile here. If you need more room for whatever you're looking for. So that's one thing you can always do. You can always jettison that. No, you can't sell it to another player unless you're on the same space as another player, but you can just jettison out to create more room. I forgot to mention that some of these say the word special on it. What does that mean? How much do I get paid? How do I know? It will tell you on the card. It'll say, hey, load 1 contraband for each crew on the job. So depending on how many crew members you are, that's how much contraband you get. Sometimes they'll say, hey, load as many passengers as you can. The more passengers, you get paid $200 or $300 per passenger or fugitive. That's when you know it's a special. You have to read the rules to see how much you get paid. Okay, so I wanted to pause right there before I got any further and made a review of all the cards. And just tell you, I really do love this game. Now, unfortunately, I've only gotten to play the base game because I'm trying to teach it to a lot of my friends because I want to have a lot of friends know and love the game. Everyone I've showed it to has loved it. So this is slowly becoming one of our favorite games, and I hope to be playing it more in the future. However, it is a longer game than what we're usually used to, so that would probably be the only take back. For me, I enjoy long games. I love the playtime. For us, it's 2 to 3 hours when we use that rule. However, you do not have to use that house rule, and your game will take way longer than 2 hours. I promise you that. How does solo play fare on this? I love the solo play. I play by myself. It's a little lonely. I have a tear in my eye at times, but I get through it. So is this game worth your time? Yes, yes, absolutely yes. And guess what, folks? You don't even have to like Firefly to love that game. In fact, one of my friends, I actually showed him the game. I thought he had seen Firefly. After we finished playing, I said, "Ha, doesn't that make you want to watch the TV show again?" He went, "I've never seen the TV show." I couldn't believe he decided to play with me, but he loved that game before he even saw the TV show, which shows how awesome it is to any fan. You don't have to be a fan of the Firefly series to enjoy this board game. So, is it worth getting? You betcha. And when we come back for part 3, I'm going to review all of the cards in the deck, the supply cards and whatnot. Until then, gamers, game on.